All right, thank you so much for staying with us. It's about time now for us to go into that particular segment you've been waiting for, which is the social media boss. And of course, I have with me the delectable, the brown sugar, as she's fondly called, Deba Eze. Good morning,
Hi,
Debbie.
Josh. Good morning.
How are you?
Okay, well, you did the Uche line well. I wasn't expecting that.
So how are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm good.
All right.
Even though it's weather, it's just a bit of us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really do miss Uche, and we really hope she comes back from her vacation.
Of course.
You know, in time.
But the show has to go on.
It has to go on, of course. The show, we can't leave the shrine empty. You know.
All right. So what do you have for us today?
Well, before we actually go into the stories that we have for today, the Very Dark Man saga that's been going on for a while. Now, would you call Very Dark Man an activist, or would you call him an agent of chaos? I want to get your perspective.
Agent of chaos. That's so
I want to get your perspective.
Well, looking at it from the days of the antecedents is set, looking at it from his emergence, especially into the social media space, I would say that he started well. Yeah, looking at it from the angle of that case he took up, I mean, the issue
Calling
of
out
the lady who's into cosmetic
products.
Yeah, we know that should be fighting for social justice, because these persons, including, I think, his sibling, was also affected. Some of them may not be able to come out to call out or drag these persons who might be involved in formulating of this product. But then again, he veered away into what we should look at as fighting for social justice, or activism, as you call it, into issues that are not really, his concern, or issues that might not really bother so much on social justice. You don't have any business with somebody who might be using her body to get whatever she wants. And you call that social activism. That's not social activism. That's more like being bothered about someone's private business. You should learn to respect people's privacy. And when you have crossed that line, it beholds on the public to call you back and say, no, this is not what you started out with. What, can you just keep to your lane and do what we know as social justice? Which means people's rights who has been infringed, go and fight for them, because obviously they may not have the voice, or they may not have the wherewithal to be able to drag these persons. Fight for such cases, and Nigerians will back you up, but not going into someone's privacy, especially when it has to do with his own way of doing business, and you want to now meddle into it and say you're fighting for social justice. To me, it doesn't make sense. So the
allegations that he made concerning some police officers and top officials now, would you say it is wrong for the police to actually detain him? Or do you think the police are actually in their right to still keep him, in the cell?
It is one thing to allege, it's another thing to prove. If you now leave what you're supposed to be doing and now go into someone's privacy and now calling them or making some sort of allegation, it beholds on the police, is well within their right to invite you for questioning, and if you fail, it's also well within their right to arrange for an arrest, and perhaps you come forward and substantiate what your claims are. Bring the proof that they've been alleged in such things. And if you cannot be able to do that, you know what it means within the law. That's defamation of character, and of course from the body of the police. So it is well within their right to have done that. Yes. All
right. So you've not answered. Is he an activist or agent of chaos? Anyway, you've answered. From your side,
yes. Softly, I wouldn't just want to say to his face. I won't just want to say to his face, but obviously he has derailed from what we know to be social justice. Because we have seen people who have fought for social justice without mentioning their names here on social media boards. And we've seen the fights they are doing, especially with regards to persons who might be involved in cheating, especially their wives cannot be able to speak, some persons who have been abused, within the marital circle, and we've seen people who fought for them. These are what we call social justice, but not when you meddle into someone's private business and you say you're doing social justice. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, let's go into the first story for today. And Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, says the federal government has received the sum of 15 billion yen from the Japanese International Cooperation Agency to support the country's National Agricultural Scheme project. Edun spoke while addressing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday. He said the loan is payable for the period of 30 years with 10 years moratorium and an interest rate of 10%. The minister added that bilateral support will not place any form of financial strain on Nigeria. Now let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. Now the first reaction from Henry O, and he said, so the federal government is done with China and then moved to Japan to secure loans? Another reaction said, and yet farmers can't farm because of bandits. You soon tell us what you really took that loan for. Another reaction, we now collect in yen too, just to disguise the total number of dollars collected. Another reaction, they only announce when they secure a loan, but they don't account for how the money is spent. We only hear about it when there is a pardon, loot scandal, and leaked documents. The Nigerian government should keep up the energy they should in announcing secured loans to also inform us how the funds are distributed. And the reaction from Alexander, and he said, we secure a lot of loans, but we do not have effective budget plans. We rather waste in the funds and go into debt due to embezzlement. And the final reaction said, I wonder if China does not ask Nigerian leaders, what was the last project you used the last money you borrowed for? Josh, how do you react to this?
Yeah, it's not a crime. I've said this on this platform before, for any country to secure loan from wherever donor they get such loans from. China has its own, debt profile. America has their debt profile. UK have their debt profile. These are, first world countries, right? And what they do with their loan or the loan they secure is something we can see. And that's why a lot of us either travel to China to do business or travel to other parts of the world for one reason or the other, because the system is working. Now, there's one thing in going for loan. You declare how much you've secured. It's another thing for us to see a blueprint as regards what you do with the loan. Someone said, oh, Nigeria is done with China. Obviously, and for now, we don't know of the future. Right about now, China has shut its doors on us. So it means that they're no longer interested in giving us loan, because past loans that they've given us, they never saw anything tangible that we did with it. So it ended up being in a few pockets. And of course, in the news, we heard that they collected loan from China. So China for now might not be giving us loan until future they get to see what we have done with the loans we collected from other countries before they might be obliged to now give us loan. Now, another thing is that you're collecting loan. What is the tangible thing or project you're going to execute with that loan is nothing that we might see in the next few years, because we might just hear, oh, they've collected loan and that's where it ends. Now, the next thing is, how about the insecurity issues? Because if you tell me this loan was given, to you for agricultural purposes, how do you intend to execute project, related to agriculture when you've not, first of all, tackled insecurity? We just read in the news a governor running to the president to cry that he needs help and blah, blah, blah. So imagine you get this money and you pump it into buying mechanized, equipment that will be used for agriculture, and the farmers are not able to go in. Of what purpose? Has it not defeated the purpose for which you got that loan for? So I think the first step should be take care of what you have within before other countries can be willing to give you loan. Because if they give you this loan, don't forget they are watching to see what you're going to do with it. So if after a few weeks you're yet to hit the ground running because you're crying insecurity, then it tells you that they will be looking at you like someone who do not know what he's doing. Because before you go for loan, you must know what you want to do with it. And the environment, is it conducive enough to allow that investment to thrive? That's what we're not looking at.
Right. And that reaction that said, now we are collecting in yen to disguise the number of dollars that we
but you don't expect Japan to give in dollars. They will give you what the currency is.
Right.
To control inflation.
All right. So let's move on to the next story. 44-year-old Bassirou Diomaye Faye has been elected president of Senegal 10 days after he was released from prison. It is the first time in 12 presidential votes held under universal suffrage since Senegal gained independence from France in 1960 that an opposition candidate has won in the first round of voting. Faye's main opponent from the governing coalition, Amadou 62, recognized Faye's win and rang him to offer his congratulations. Now, Faye has promised left-wing Pan-Africanism and to renegotiate gas and oil contract with Senegal due to start production on recently discovered oil and gas reserves last year. He hasn't even gotten to office, and he already has, you know, an head stand. Now, the opposition candidate has never held a nationally elected position and has not yet spoken publicly since the vote, which followed 3 years of unrest and political crisis. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. The first reaction from Ibuka said, Obasanjo after prison became president, Buhari after prison became president, Nelson Mandela after prison became president, Basiro after prison became president, Peter Obi, how far? And that reaction said, wow, that's great, Africa. Africa will rise again from the hands of the old and corrupt politicians. Another reaction said, this is what we need in our continent right now. Young presidents and not all these old men thinking like a baby. And that reaction said, good for Senegal. Here our youth are focused on looting the national cake with the slightest opportunity. And finally, I said it and I'll keep saying it. Our country, people will never want something like this to happen. Josh, I'm very sure you're excited.
Yes, I'm excited because I'm a youth, and that statement from Ibuka, you know, it started well, but towards the end of it, he just messed the whole
I think
thing
he just tries to make jokes out of it.
Well, it might just be hilarious, but then if you look at it critically, yes, this man went to prison. Is it for criminal cases? No, for a just reason. So if Peter Obi doesn't have any reason to go, will he go and lock himself up in the prison so as to be someone who had, you know, it doesn't make sense. But let's just take it from the fact that he's trying to be hilarious. But looking at it from this guy who just emerged as a president, you know, is something to be, you know, joyful for, because we have never had a situation where the youth in this country are given a place, you know, to be able to govern, especially considering it from the political space. Yes, the youths are doing amazing in other corporate, spheres of life, but when it comes to public governance,
look at Beta Edo.
Well, she missed the opportunity given to her anyway, because you start somewhere. It mustn't be at the level of the presidency before you can be able to function and show that potential that a youth should have.
A reaction said that Nigerian youths are only interested in looting the national cake with every slice of opportunity.
That's like painting everyone with the same brush.
Okay.
Because a Beta Edo misbehaved doesn't mean someone else who perhaps might find himself in that capacity would do such. But then again, he's just trying to look at it from a general view. Okay, this is how the youths who are given little opportunity end up messing it. But it doesn't mean that everyone who gets there would do the same. A good example is this guy who came from Senegal. He is a youth, and of course, looking at it from the angle of the youth being the future leaders, they are already making it happen. Reality is already, having its way in Senegal. My question is not about the youth generally. My question is, will we ever be given that opportunity? Before now, I read in the news story that we once had the previous government, assent a law, which says that not too young to run. How far would that be? It's just existing in paper. When he was asked after his first term in office into his second term, will you drop? He said, no. Allow me finish my second term, then I'll give room for the youths to come. Sure. Eventually, what happened in 2023 speaks the obvious. We have somebody who is well into his 70s, right?
We're not sure. We're
not even sure. Let me even take it from you. We're not even sure his age. But then again, we know that this person is not anywhere close to his youthful days. So are we saying that that bill, that was signed into law is just a mere rhetoric, just to maybe appease the youths, to make them feel a sense of belonging and a sense of self? Because obviously it doesn't make any sense when you sign a bill into law and it doesn't take effect in your own time. Even if it doesn't take effect in your own time, can you pave way so that as you are leaving, someone younger takes up that mantle of leadership and tell Nigerians that, look, we're ready to make things happen in this country?
But do you think, in other developed clans, they don't, use the young or old,
age issue
as the age issue as
Okay.
Do you even really think that a young person can actually take Nigeria to where we want it to be?
Now, the population of the country is largely dominated by the youth. So you cannot take it away from the fact that the older ones are fast going. So who will represent these ones when they leave? Now, with the fact that these guys who are even within the corridors of power are not even giving way for the young to come in, how do we tap into these fresh minds when they are not given an opportunity to have their input in the corridors of power?
But Tinubu actually
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. You just said it that he had not even, resumed office,
and he already has a lead down plan
so
of what he wants to do.
And here is somebody, I mean, I'm talking about, what's the special advisor to the president? What's that guy?
Ajuri?
No. The senior special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Bayo Ononuga. He said it in the papers, giving excuses for Bola Tinubu that he never saw the enormity of what he was going to meet in office. It tells you that these guys know nothing next to leadership, because obviously all they know is vying for that office, but the job of that office, they are totally bereft of it. So it tells you that they were never ready. It was just, let me take power. So after taking power, what next? It's my turn, right?
It is my turn.